Hello, my name is Brad Heller of the Heller Approach Professional Acting Studio. Welcome to our YouTube channel. I want to thank you all for continuing to send in your comments and questions and thumbs up and likes on our YouTube channel. And we have tons of followers on Instagram and on Facebook. It's just been really going well. People seem to really enjoy these lessons. So I wanted to do another little series. Today, what I want to talk about is emotion. A number of people have been asking me to sort of clarify this thing. How do I evoke emotion in my body? What is emotion? First, you got to know what it is before you can even figure out how to sort of evoke it. Let's just say emotion is the fire in your eyes and in your heart and in every pore of your body. So when you think about, when you're really emotional, let's say I'm really happy. There's a certain electricity, in a sense, an intensity that happens in me. If I'm really happy, I get sort of lightheaded and excited. If I'm really angry, I also get a little bit lightheaded and intense. I have a little bit of electricity in my eye when I'm really angry. We're going to call that emotion. I'm taking my glasses off so that you can actually see what I'm talking about. If you look at the greatest actors, they all have this. You watch Anthony Hopkins, watch Robert De Niro, watch Sean Penn, watch Christopher Waltz, Meryl Streep, Susan Sarandon. Next time you watch them, watch a couple of things. Number one, watch how small they are when they act. Not a lot going on externally, but then look at their eyes, and you're going to feel a heat that emanates from their eyes. That's what I mean when I say emotion. When you get bored when you're watching a movie or a TV show, frequently it's because the characters are flat. Like they don't have an intensity about them. It just feels empty. You just find yourself tuning out or suddenly checking your texts. Don Richardson, the author of the book that I've discussed before, Acting Without Agony, an Alternative to the Method, he said that acting is 80% emotion. 80. That is a lot. Meaning, if you took everything I taught you and did it all except for evoking emotion, the best you could be would be 20% an F. On the other hand, if this is the only thing you pull from me and just did this, you'd be a B. You're doing pretty good. My point, do not cut corners on evoking emotion. So if we agree emotion is intensity, it's that sort of lightheaded, frenetic energy we have. If we agree that that's emotion, then how do I actually do that? How do I get that? Well, as you know, the book that a lot of the foundation of my technique is built on is called Acting Without Agony, an Alternative to the Method. The method, some would say the method, if you want to call it that, is when one sort of goes into their history, thinks a little bit about past events in order to get that sort of charged feeling, that sort of intensity. How do I get really angry in a scene? I think of something in my past that makes me really angry, and I'm going to use that to kind of launch myself into the scene. Of course, there are a number of problems with that. Number one, I don't want to think about those events when I'm acting. I'm playing a different character. Do I really want to think about that terrible thing that happened to me, if I have to play a character who's terrified? Secondly, what if it doesn't work that day when I'm on set? Thirdly, what if a director says, hey, listen, I like what you're doing, but I don't want you to be terrified. I want you to be nervous. What do I do? Like, I've prepared my scene by thinking of that event to get there, and now what do? Do I have to think of an event to kind of get me nervous? That's not going to work either, because you have a whole cast and crew standing around, and they're all being paid by the hour. So here I am thinking of my event, taking 5 minutes. If it's a really nice production, you just cost the production $100,000. You think they're going to want to hire you again? Probably not. So the way that we do this is through a very kind of cool experience. How do I evoke emotion? Well, the first thing that we have to remember is that when we are evoking emotion, there's a certain thing that happens in our body. As I said earlier, number one, when I'm really emotional, and we said acting is 80% emotional. When I'm very emotional, I get a little lightheaded. Kind of like a little bit, not dizzy per se, but maybe a little bit lightheaded, maybe even a little bit dizzy. My heart rate goes up. My pulse goes up. I may even sweat a little bit. And that's what's happening internally when I'm very emotional. Okay, so if we agree that acting is 80% emotion, if we agree that that's what happens when we're very emotional, think about it. Think when you're really happy or really angry or really nervous, really confused, does your heart rate go up? Do you get a little lightheaded? Does your pulse go up? The answer is going to be yes. It's just a fact. So if we agree that that happens when we're filled with a lot of emotion, if we agree that the interesting characters, even if I'm playing a character that's bored, that I have a tremendous amount of boredom, it's going to be far more interesting to watch that person compared to somebody that's kind of flat and doesn't have a lot of that emotion. If we agree on that, well, how do I start the process of triggering this emotion? Well, the interesting thing that Don Richardson said is that we are so familiar with emotion that we can actually feel something by merely saying the name of it. In other words, try this. I say the word joy. Just say the word joy. See if you feel a little tingle in your heart and it kind of makes you smile a little bit. Try saying the word anger. You may find that you feel a little tingle in your stomach. If I say the word disbelief, I feel a little tingle in the back of my head. Now, for me, when I first learned this, I was like baffled. Like I could actually feel something from saying the name of an emotion. How's that possible? Well, because you're so familiar with these emotions, when you just say the name of them, you're going to feel something. Now, unfortunately, it's not going to be enough. I mean, if I just say joy and I have to be characters filled with a lot of joy, that's not going to make my heart go up. That's not going to get me lightheaded. That's not going to make me dizzy like I'm talking about. So what we do is we say the name of the emotion and we link that to a breathing exercise, similar to when we exercise and you go running or you're on your Stairmaster and you're sort of getting lightheaded from panting when you're exercising. Think about it. When I go running, I have a pedal thing, a Stairmaster at home. When I'm on that thing and I'm doing it and I'm exhausted, I find that I get lightheaded. I find my heart rate goes up. I find that I get a little dizzy. I find that I'm panting. Those feelings, that lightheaded feeling that I have, is what I'm talking about. So, what we do is we pair the feeling from saying the name of the emotion with a breathing exercise similar to panting to charge ourselves up. I've said this before. Acting, there are two steps. There's preparation, there's executing. I'm sitting here saying, I need you to be lightheaded and dizzy and your pulse go up, breathe heavy and so forth. Well, obviously, I can't be doing that when I'm filming the scene. I can't even do that when I'm preparing for the scene in the lobby or right before I do my audition because they'll think I'm a freak. This is what I do at home. So let's say, for example, let's say I'm playing a character. I'm working on a scene right now, actually, and I'm playing a lawyer. And this lawyer, let's just say that the lawyer is really nervous, okay? How do I make my character nervous in order to play that scene? So let's say I have some lines and I know that my character has to be nervous and I'm approaching a client who's a big client and I'm really uncomfortable. By building the scene and preparing it correctly, I can fuse a lot of emotion into me in order to play the scene effectively. In order to evoke this anxiety, to pull this off, what I first do is I say, and this is the technique of evoking emotion. I first say the name of the emotion, and I sort of pinpoint it in my body where it starts. It gives me some kind of a focus of where the emotion is starting. So if I say the word anxiety, I feel a little tingle on my stomach. It's kind of like throwing a pebble into a pond. And where does the pebble land? The pebble lands in my chest when I say anxiety. I feel a little tingle here. Now imagine that pebble landing in a lake, and you have all those rings that sort of stretch out. Well, we're going to say every one of those rings is analogous to me taking a big breath in and a big breath out. And my emotion is going to start in my chest, and each one of those rings are going to sort of stretch out into my body so that I feel this intensity, top of my head, tips of my fingers, tips of my toes. How does this work? First I say anxiety. Anxiety. I feel the little tingle. Then I'm going to take a breath in and a breath out like this. And after I exhale, I'm going to say anxiety. Anxiety. Anxiety like this. Okay? Now, every exhale is going to be like a ring that's stretching. Anxiety. 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 And now I'm going to start to get a little bit lightheaded, okay? Anxiety. And let's say my line in the scene is, how are you doing today? It's nice to meet you. So I'm going to get myself lightheaded, and I'm a little dizzy right now, and I'm going to say my line, how are you doing today? It's nice to meet you. Would you like to discuss your case? Okay. So I'm a little bit lightheaded right now, and I'm a little dizzy. So I've charged myself up to get my sort of intense and lightheaded to say my dialogue. So what I've done is I've now ironed in that lightheaded quality into the line. It's like ironing a shirt. I'm ironing the emotion into the line by breathing heavy in the midst of saying my lines. All right? This is the preparation. This is, like I said earlier in some of the other videos, this is like in sports, I'm learning the move. This is learning the move. Anxiety. Anxiety. And now I'm going to stop saying the word and just breathe heavy now, because at this point, through muscle memory, my body has now learned that breathing equals anxiety, and now my brain is free to think something else, like my objective, which I've discussed before, or maybe I'm thinking about reacting, but my mind is now free because I've linked the name of the emotion to breathing. So, again, it would look like this. Anxiety. Anxiety. Now I'm going to stop saying the word. I'm breathing heavy, and after every exhale now I'm going to start saying some of my dialogue. I'm just going to make it up as I go. I don't know what I'm going to say. How are you doing today? It's very nice to meet you. Would you like to discuss your case? I've heard you're in trouble and I need to help you with the case. Okay, so now what I've done is I've said my dialogue. I'm lightheaded as I'm saying it, and you're going to notice now I have linked my dialogue to this lightheaded feeling in the preparation phase of the technique. Again, this is not what you're going to do when you're filming. This is what you're doing to build the foundation. Okay? When I'm executing the scene, when I'm playing the game, when I'm in it and we're filming, there's no more breathing. You don't need to. Your body has now learned how to be lightheaded in the dialogue because you taught it to be there. So now I can just let go, and hopefully my body will remember to be lightheaded in the right place. Okay? So, let me show you again kind of how this would work. Anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. I stopped saying the word, and I'm breathing heavy. And now I feel a little lightheaded, and I said my dialogue, as you recall, and now I'm just going to say the line, hey, it's nice to meet you. Would you like to discuss your case? I've heard you're in a lot of trouble. Now look at my eyes. Do you feel the electricity there? Do you feel the intensity? It's there, isn't it? Do you feel the fire? It's because there's all that energy in there, right? And that's what you're doing to build the scene. Now, in the scene, what may happen is you're breathing heavy when you're working on your scene and you're saying your dialogue, and you feel it starts to kind of fizzle out, like, I don't feel as lightheaded anymore. Well, what you do is you just start taking some breaths in your preparation to charge it back up again so that you rekindle the fire, so that you can just execute the scene. And when you're executing it, your body will remember to be lightheaded in that section of the scene. Think about preparing a scene kind of like you're building the foundation under a house. And we're building foundation under the bathroom, the master bedroom, the living room, and that's all the lines. I'm going to breathe heavy throughout the entire scene. Through muscle memory, my body is going to remember to be lightheaded while I'm doing my dialogue in the actual filming of the scene because I taught it to be there. As I've said to you, acting is preparation and executing. When I execute the scene, hopefully my body will remember it. I can't be breathing heavy. I can't be worrying about emotion when I'm filming the scene. I'll look pushed and forced. It won't be fun. But if I do this correctly, when I let go, a lot's going on in here and in here. Just watch the fire in the great actors. If you don't believe me, watch them. Watch Anthony Hopkins. Watch De Niro. Download some of my movies, and you'll see I do this in my technique. I put the technique into my own acting. So it's an incredible experience because suddenly you're going to feel like this foundation under your material. It's not going to feel like you're just acting from your neck up with your voice. Your whole body is going to be involved now. That's a huge part of acting. Huge. Again, it's 80% of acting. 80%. So, again, if you just take one thing from me when you're working on your craft, take this. okay? How you evoke emotion is not through delving into your personal stuff. It's through doing a breathing exercise and your familiarity with the name of the emotion. Look, if this helps you, I'm very happy. If you need more help, if you need more guidance, you can come to our school in Los Angeles, or you can take one-on-one lessons with one of our teachers or with me on Skype through webcam, and we can get into the greater details of how the technique works. But even still, hopefully this gives you a vibe or at least some kind of direction of how to do it. I hope this is helpful. It was a life changer for me. As I said in one of the other videos, we've been getting lots of comments and so questions, and I want to just make sure that I attend to some of those questions. So here's another question I got from somebody. Here it is. This gentleman's name is 𝗖𝗹𝗹. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's talking, his question, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said he was watching a scene, or he was working on a scene. Excuse me if I'm not quite getting this right, because I just have a couple of little words here to kind of remind me of what it is. But he was watching a scene, or he was working on a scene, and his question is, why, if both characters are believable in the scene, if they're both honest, why do I like one character more than the other? Because I've talked to you a lot about truth and honesty. So if we both believe and agree, if we all agree that acting is about being honest and truthful, why do I like one character and not so much the other one? Now, what I mean by that is not that we're supposed to, we're not talking about a villain. We're talking about two characters, and even if you're playing a villain, you can play the character in a way that they're magnetic, that they are likable. So his question, why do I like one character when I don't like the other, when both are being believable? Great question. The reason is because the actor didn't think about the qualities that make his character more endearing. Look, watch Silence of the Lambs. Watch Hannibal Lecter. The guy eats people. Why is it that I want to watch him? Why do I want to spend time observing him? Because he's fascinating. He's endearing. He's charming. So find the likable qualities in your characters. You're going to find this happens a lot in bad movies. At the end of the movie, the guy and the girl, they kiss and they get together. And you're going, ooh, I wouldn't want to be with that person. They're annoying. They're obnoxious. That's because either the director or the actor or the actress didn't think about this very quality. How am I coming off? Am I coming off with a negative tone? Am I coming off endearing? Am I coming off warm? Even if I'm playing a villain, am I coming off fascinating, or am I coming off annoying? People are not going to want to hang out with me. This is why you're going to find when you watch sitcoms or even weekly episodics, you're going to find that all of those characters, if it's a good show, you enjoy their company. You want to spend time with them. You want to hang out with them. That's why you watch them every week. If I watch a show like Veep, great show, just won the Emmy. Or old shows like The Office. Every single one of those characters are fun to watch. Even the ones that are mean are fun to watch. I want to observe them and hang out with them. Do I want to hang out with Hannibal Lecter in his jail cell, just he and I? Not really. But I certainly would enjoy watching him on the other side of the bars. Now I could also play a villain in a really annoying way by making qualities that are just annoying or obnoxious or just negative. And that you need to be aware of when you're preparing your performance. I hope that answers your question. Keep those comments coming in. Keep your questions coming in. I'm going to really try hard to answer as many as possible. Again, I want to thank you all for your support. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our YouTube channel or go to Instagram at the 𝗖𝗹𝗹, Twitter at the 𝗖𝗹𝗹. And you can also find some great information at our website, 𝗖𝗹𝗹.com. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. And of course, as I always say, keep acting.